good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability. RTD Live Talk, Monday evening, the 9th day of the month of July. Checking in at 9:49-ish to see what's going on, and more importantly, as you can see from the question in the subject heading here, I'm interested in finding out your thoughts and some possible scenarios of how things might play out in the future, because there's a lot of things happening around us. Ideally, what I just reported on earlier, what happened over the weekend with Haiti. And so how, once again, is a situation where the government failed the people. And so it all has to do with the idea of government basically being overly indebted. And in order to keep favor with the public, they are making promises that they can't keep, i.e. with the subsidies or whatnot in regards to keeping gas at a lower price. And so once that idea of, letting the gas prices reach what the fair market value is, which is a lot higher than what the government is supporting it at, people took to the streets, rioting and burning and things like that. And so that led me to just wonder what would happen here in the United States of America, and what could be some of the triggers that would get a variety of classes of people into the streets. Because once again, I believe that since we are, since the developed world for the most part are the only countries that somewhat still have a class structure, whether it be the lower class / those that are living at the poverty line or below. Then you have what was considered the middle class, which is a much wider gap income-wise. Then you have the high-income earners, those that are business owners or whatnot. Those are considered the 1%ers, 5%ers, or whatever they're called. But when push comes to shove and some type of hiccup happens with the markets, or the government reaches its point of just basically needing to default or to renege on its promises, whether it be through printing too much paper or just basically Trump and all the things he's doing now with the trade war or whatnot, some of those side effects coming back to hurt us, the middle class for the most part. Each class will have their own different response. And so looking to find out what you guys think. And so as always, give everybody a second to check in. But if we have any new viewers that's tuning in for the first time or want to just share where you're tuning in from, feel free to do so in the chat. Always looking to find out and welcome new people to the community. And then if you're a returning viewer, make sure you say what's up. Let me know where you're tuning in from as well. And then also, the microphone is always open, 833 Live RTD. Love to find out what's happening in your world or in your economy, your local economy there in your city or state or country, wherever you're located at. And so I think that there's more than enough news events happening of which we all can chime in and help educate one another. So other than that, I'm looking to get your thoughts on the article that I reported on earlier from Haiti in regards to people hitting the streets, robbing and probably stealing. I'm sure some lives were lost, but I didn't really come across that in those articles. So T, how you doing, my friend? Richard, how you doing? Scott, Bo, Which Works, what's up? How you doing, buddy? So I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. And so it really got me to thinking about what are some likely scenarios of how things will play out. And so the best way, I believe, to really get a chance to see the different class structures as well as just the different walks of life that will be impacted by this coming or pending or whatever is happening, because everyone can agree that there's something happening and something brewing that is going to be a shock to a lot of people. And so I actually have up in front of me here the U.S. debt clock. And so what I'm going to do is basically highlight a couple portions of the population, whether we have various classes. We have the retiree class, we have the middle class, those are still working, and then we have the lower income earners, which are more so the government subsidized individuals, whether it be through the welfare program, the healthcare system, or any type of disability type of things where the government is not, you know, some chipping in or subsidizing income-wise to those people. And so I did video years ago in regards to what happened with the when the EBT cards get cut off, and so that's could be likely, who knows, it could be some type of glitch in the system, say if the power grid goes out or whatever, you never know. But yet if the EBT cards are no longer functioning, that's a whole nother subject there, of which that's a class of people that will definitely take to the streets. And so what really made that article that I read earlier in regards to Haiti, if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, it's the idea that the gentleman who was quoted, he's probably one of the rioters, one of the guys on the streets tearing stuff up, you know, burning stuff. And so he told the reporter there, at the end of his quote was, no matter what, we want the president gone within 2 days, or we're going to riot and loot and keep doing what we're doing. And he was basically saying, because at the end of the day, I don't have nothing to lose. And so I'm thinking like, man, that's a bold statement, because that guy, clearly, if he has nothing to lose, that means that he's probably the lower tier of society in Haiti, meaning that he don't probably have much other than the clothes on his back, or he has no real hope for a promising future in that country. And so if there's no hope, if there's nothing that you're working towards or working for, then I can see how that guy could probably say, I have nothing to lose, to where he'll probably be one of many guys and women out there looking to get ahead in regards to stealing and doing whatever they can to get a couple extra dollars. So I believe that that type of mindset will become real prevalent here in this country here as time goes on, as our monetary system crumbles, as the economy begins to falter, and people really begin to feel the pinch of what it's like to either have their lack of government assistance removed or minimized, or those that do work hard in the middle class, and more so the middle class, those that have a tightening of their disposable income, where they themselves are left with, you know, not many options. Then you're going to be, you know, faced with the idea of how to feed your family, how to take care of your cost of living. And so those are just different tiers right there of different people will respond in different ways. So looking to get your thoughts on what are some of the ways that people can respond. So feel free to call in or chime in. And so I'll see what's happening here. It says, from Chicago equals a hot mess. So TT, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. It says, my family is from Haiti. And so TT, quick question for you. So your family's from Haiti, or you still have a lot of family there? Could you share with us some of what's going on, if it's like a widespread thing, or is it an isolated situation in Port-au-Prince? Or I'd be curious to find that out if you're familiar with that. So if you would like, feel free to call in and share that information. I would love to find out more. And so Which Worker says, sidebar from before we get started, when people say they support government, but then they say they don't want big government, that's like saying I want a king, but not want him to be a dictator. Ironic. Yeah, and so, you know, Which Workers, I believe the reason people say they support the government and they support just having a institution or just a governing body over their lives, is because they themselves haven't really put themselves in position or realized that each individual is responsible for their own livelihood and your own future. And to believe that there's a governing body of elected officials, of men and women just like you, who think on the same, or some of them probably think, you know, at a lower level of awareness in regards to the problem solution paradigm type of crap, where they themselves, you know, they just add on to more of the problems with the idea of just borrowing and extending the current, you know, mess that's not working. How can they help you at all? It will be the question for most people. But I believe a lot of people in the middle tier, middle class, those that are somewhat contributing to society with their time, labor, skill set, and some type of occupation, those are the ones who right now are probably the more distracted ones, because they're living and enjoying and just come off a holiday. So a lot of people who are, you know, not really feeling the pinches financially, they're enjoying life, not thinking about government, nevertheless thinking about, you know, one day if their paycheck isn't able to purchase what it used to purchase. So yeah, that has a lot to do with mindset, unfortunately. And yeah, until you're forced to change or come to the realization that, you know, what has been working no longer works, you won't have any incentive or idea of really wanting to change anything. But this is my 2 cents. It says NWO Dispatcher, it said it would literally take starvation and power outages. Really? You think so? So starvation and power outages in order to get people to hit the streets to cause civil unrest. That's interesting. I think we'll probably see unrest, as I mentioned, from the different tiers of, and I really feel bad saying different tiers of society, but that's kind of the best way to label it. You have those that are the low income, middle class, and the high earner, high net worth individuals. And so out of those three, I believe that the lower income, those that are dependent upon government, help and assistance, they'll probably hit the streets a lot sooner than starvation or power outages. If I believe that, as I mentioned earlier, if that EBT card don't work or they lose their job, because those individuals tend to be those that are, don't have a high skill set or really contribute overall. So those are the ones that I think will be more incentivized to hit the street right away, just out of pure protest. But then, as always, from stuff like that, with people, you get a large crowd together, all it takes is one knucklehead to do something stupid, which is going to cause everybody to react. So, yeah. It says, we don't know what kind of contract the IMF is holding over Haiti. Yeah, that's very true. But, TT, here's a question, or here's the point. From that article, the very fact that the IMF suggested to the president there that it's time to remove that fuel subsidy lets me know that whatever they got over Haiti is pretty strong, to where it's good to say, because of all the stuff that's been happening in Haiti over the years, the IMF has their hands in the president's pocket, as well as all the elected officials there, to where just by mere suggestion of what should happen lets me know that they have a lot of influence there. So I'll be willing to say that based upon this response of this gas price or this gas hike situation, it wasn't 24 hours before people hit the streets. So I believe that they're going to have to curtail or monitor some of their intervention into that government there, because the people are not going to have it, it looks like. And of course, if the government wants to stay in power, because they will, I would imagine they would storm the Capitol and all that and take over all that. So they're going to have to choose, they're going to pick their battle, whether they're going to be punked or be led by the IMF or listen to the people. So we'll see who wins. It says right now it's isolated. Haiti is rich in oil, gold, natural food sources, but the colonizers control the flow of financial energy. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. The financial energy. Yeah. So basically the money supply, as well as just the overall pulse of the economy. So that's unfortunate, but we're all governments are kind of in that same mess right now. Says Jesse James, so why didn't Haitians riot after the earthquake? Ah, man, Jesse, so I guess you are referring to, so why didn't Haitians, skinny Americans come to Vegas, my friend? You won't find one. So, yeah, so why didn't Haitians riot after the earthquake? I would imagine typically after some type of natural disaster, that's a time where people tend to rally together. And so I would imagine, the Haitian people, like down in Houston or whatnot, when Houston got hit by the hurricane, all of this country here donated, rallied, or did something to aid in their aid in that event there. So I'd imagine it's probably the same situation in Haiti, to where a lot of people came to the rescue, and Haitians probably bonded a little bit to get tighter together, to where you got your knuckleheads, I'm sure, that took advantage of the opportunity to steal and do whatever. But I'd imagine the bulk of people at the core of their heart, man, are really nice, genuine people. They're just caught up by the circumstances. A lot of people don't really intend to do what they end up doing, whether it be crime or destroying their bodies, killing themselves, killing each other, because they just, find themselves in desperate situations to where the circumstances end up getting the best of people. It says Haitians were trying to survive after the earthquake. It was a shocking experience that we're trying to survive. Yeah, interesting there. That's very interesting there. So that's one of the things where it's unfortunate in the fact I'd imagine that from all the presidential election stuff, based upon some foundations that didn't really get the funds like they should have had and all that stuff like that. That's a real tragedy, man. People donated millions and millions of dollars and apparently still didn't reach where it's supposed to reach. That's it's a crime, man. It's a crime. It says right on, families have been isolated, separated, and destabilized. I see it as a calculated plan for control. They ain't no accident. Totally agree with your response here today. Yeah, thank you. It says it's starting. This is what America will look like when interest rates send many to the poorhouse. Charles, very good, very good one there. So okay, let's talk about let's break it down a little bit. And for those that are joining, I gave like what would be a somewhat of a a three-tier of society for the most part, but since we're still in the developed world, we still have what would be considered lower, middle, and, high income earners. And so I believe there's a different response and there will be a different outcome in regards to some type of event that causes people to feel like they are being either betrayed by the government or the financial system has a major hiccup, i.e. some type of recession, or what is probably going to happen, which a lot of people don't seem to think is likely, is the whole bank situation. Like, we haven't had a a true banking holiday like they've had in Greece and Italy and some parts of Spain and other countries over there, and outside of this country here, which most people, unless you actually are in tune into alternative media, you would know nothing about. So those are the people who are aware would be more likely to believe the idea that at any minute here on a Friday. And so it was interesting on the idea of a Friday. It seems like in Haiti, the president on Friday announced that they were going to raise prices. Then in Nicaragua, Ortega, the president, announced on a Friday that he was going to suspend and whatever payments of Social Security payments down in Nicaragua, which caused riots. And so it looks like Friday is the ideal time when people getting off work, they're excited, they got a paycheck, they going out to enjoy their life outside of work. And so most people don't pay attention, but I was in Haiti, they were paying attention. Let me see here. So my point is, I want to get to just some scenarios. I believe in like just thinking things out and giving ways and offering different ways of thinking outside of the box. And so let's start off with the lower income individuals. And so I'm actually going to pull up right now a little tool that we can use to gauge the whole idea of what I mean by lower income individuals. So I'm probably blocking it. Let me move over. Try to move over here. Okay. I'll move this way. So, living in poverty. So if you guys see right here where my mouse is at, which is right here, it says those living in poverty. And so just to find out what that actually means according to how they calculate what living in poverty means, it says Americans that are living at or below the federal poverty line. It says data is measured on a yearly basis for a family of 4. So basically for a family of 4, and so I wonder, is that households? So is that 38 million households or actual individuals, or it says Americans? So you're including children in there, which I think could add to that number. So I think 38 million might be a little low, but for the sake of number there. So we got 38 million living below the poverty line. Then if you look over here, which is probably, you can't see it. Get out the way. Find my way. So right here where you can't see where I'm located at, let me see if I can get out the picture. Get out the picture this way. All right, there we go. So we got food stamp recipients. So we got 39 million food stamp recipients. So let me see what that means. So 39 million food stamp recipients. Let's look up how they calculated that, of course, other than those getting food stamps. But it says supplemental nutritional assistance program participation by individuals. So we have those living below the poverty line, those that are receiving aid. So that right there equals, let me calculate that. That's about 82, 80, whatever. What do we got there? So somebody calculate that. So I would say 39 offhand. We got 87, 70, 77. So about 77, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody let me know. But anyway, so we have multiple. We got that's close to a third of the population, which one below the poverty line and one is receiving aid. So that's 1/3 of the population there, all of which, as I mentioned earlier, are those that are not quote unquote skilled individuals that are receiving, that are working for, probably more than minimum wage. So those are the individuals that will more likely feel the pinch first if there's some type of financial or political disruption to where government shuts down or credit freezes or whatever, to where there's a promise that's defaulted upon. And so those are the people that I believe will hit the streets first. And what I mean by hit the streets is that they may more than likely not necessarily peacefully approach the capital of their city or their local government. And then those are the ones that will tend to probably look for an opportunity to steal, riot, burn, things of that nature. And so in my opinion, that is 1/3 of the population there that will definitely be on the streets, rioting, looting, whatever, which will then trickle into the middle class, those individuals, those that are probably, white collar workers or whatnot, those that are a little bit better off. Probably middle class would be considered for a family of 4, 7, 70, 80, 90,000, whatever it might be nowadays. So those are the ones that now they're on the defensive, because in a sense you have people hitting the streets, and so you have people that are looking for opportunities to steal, whatnot. So those people are going to be trying to protect themselves to where they're going to be on the defensive, trying to protect their properties and whatnot. And eventually if the banking system has some issues, those are the people who actually have funds in the bank. And so if they can't get to the bank to withdraw some of their funds, then they're going to be going to the banks, knocking on doors, trying to make phone calls, whatever, because credit cards may not work either, or you won't be able to draw as much as you want from your card. So they're going to be on the streets. So here you see the little domino effect of people that will be eventually on the streets, all based upon the fact that either politically or financially there's some type of problem in our system, which will lead to people hitting the streets. And what's different than in Haiti and Nicaragua is the fact that when those people hit the streets, they hit the streets, I would imagine, because they have no problem burning and destroying their own city. And if they don't mind destroying their own neighborhoods, that let me know that those are the type of people who probably think that they don't have nothing to live for, work for, or whatever, because they're probably, in this case here, second, third world, country. So they don't have the assets and the type of net worth that a lot of us in this developed world has. So I think it's going to be even that much more of a painful sight, because if you have people in the streets and they're coming into residential neighborhoods looking to riot and all that stuff like that, then you're going to have the idea of protecting yourself, and it's going to get ugly. But I'm doing too much rambling. But I was curious to find out, is there any other areas that I may have missed in that short little explanation of how I believe that the lower class will trickle into the middle class, and then how it will affect the higher net worth individuals. Is simply they're the ones that either are business owners or they are the ones that are on top of the hill. So you got your inner city, you got your middle class residential, then you got the people out labeled the burbs and the hills and the mountains, and those people who have nicer things, where it's good to say that lower class, a little bit of middle class, gonna probably head up the hill to try to get what they can from those that are up on top of the hill. And when it comes to businesses and whatnot, I believe that a lot of individuals, of course, are going to destroy all the fast food restaurants, every fast food restaurant, every kiosk, every little storefront, mall. Those are the people who own all those places. So they're going to be destroyed. And so they think they're going to be secure and okay. But yet, once again, if everything is destroyed, if a lot of cities are burning, that's going to trickle into the insurance companies having to pay out. So a lot of people may not get paid out on their property destruction. So, yeah, it could just from what I painted out there, it could be really ugly, in my opinion. And so let me say, it says currency equals energy or inner chi. Think about it, energy. Yeah, currency. I do believe that. I do believe that. Jesse James says it's about your socioeconomic status. When the people don't believe they will have an opportunity to improve, they lose hope. You think they will come to America? Jesse James, I believe they're amongst us right now. There's a lot of people, in my opinion, that's losing hope, in our governmental system, because you have all of those that are not supportive of the current administration, regardless of your political beliefs or views or whatever. They have lost, a lot of people's heart has turned cold, in my opinion, because this past presidential election and the last 3 presidential elections really divided a lot of families racially, as well as just political viewpoints. A lot of things got real serious amongst families over Democrat Republican ideology, of which is all under the same umbrella, in my opinion. So I believe that the idea of all this stuff that's dividing us has caused a lot of people to already lose hope, especially those that I mentioned are in the lower tier of income owners and those who aren't really feeling the pinch. And since the recession, those who haven't recovered and those who are worse off, i.e. because, the whole Obamacare situation cut into businesses' profits and whatnot, so they passed on the cost to the employees, cut back hours. So all that stuff, man, I believe a lot of people are losing hope right now, and that will lead to more people being interested and buying into the philosophy of going to hit the streets to, not really even prove a point. It's going to turn into a point of let me get even. And it's unfortunate. A lot of people are going to be like, let me get even with the man. I want to stick it to the man, that type of mentality. And it's going to be a racial issue at that point. So it's all because of, as somebody said, energy, currency. That right there, that, the energy is going to be very negative, and we'll find out what their core values are at that point. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Tim, Colorado. Talked to you once before.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Sorry, this is good. Thank you very much, and good job.
Thank you.
This could be off topic. I just began watching your show, but where you are on cryptocurrencies versus precious metals and the ratio of gold to silver?
Good question. Okay, so what's my thoughts on cryptocurrency? I'm two different stances there. I'm interested based upon the technology, so purely a speculative type of opportunity because the technology is not going nowhere. So there'll be a lot of opportunities to dip and dabble in that industry. And so I believe that it was introduced as a part of this whole restructuring we're facing now. So I don't think it's by accident. I think it was strategically placed at this time period for us to use, but more so to prepare us for some type of governmental or central bank issued cryptocurrency down the line. So I think there could be opportunity to take advantage of some of these short-term gains before there's a complete hyperinflation, which I believe will make paper and cryptocurrencies of no real value, because if everybody has cryptos or more people have cryptos that are inflated away in price, then who's going to actually, exchange that for goods and services if you have metals as well? So it's going to be a little hit or miss there. But I definitely, I do play around with it. I enjoy finding out and learning about the technology behind it. A. And then B, in regards to silver.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, before you go any further, because I know I asked a couple questions.
No problem.
I agree with everything you've just said.
Okay.
And let me think about this. I think it's training to get us going on to a centralized Fed coin.
I believe that is possible. I do believe that is a part of the strategy. Now, it's just a matter of, I think, when and how it's introduced, because the government will definitely try to continue to monopolize the money supply, which is the right of our government in of itself until it's passed over to the Federal Reserve Bank. But I think that there will be some type of digital currency issue because they need to get away from paper and physical exchanges in general. So it's just a matter of time. And if you believe in what the Bible mentions about the latter days, where we're heading as humanity in general, we're going to be on some type of one world type of medium of exchange, where if you don't have that wallet or that mark, exactly, if you don't have that, then you won't be able to do trade. So I do believe in that. But the only thing that could be a mark is something digital or something that's not thought of yet, but it's not going to be something physical. That's for sure. You can hide something physical, and they don't want you to be able to hide anything any longer.
Right, but if you think about it, they don't need to chip us because we're already digital. Almost.
Yeah, but I think if the chip aspect would be, it would be to incorporate everything about us, i.e. your credit score, your health history, your medical history, your political views. I mean, so it'll be used to interact with the world, period. So like, instead of having a passport, instead of having a physical
social rating.
Exactly. So exactly what's happening right now in China with the development of their social class programming that they have going on there, where everything is graded and judged by the government there. So based upon your activity and your political views and your behavior, you will receive certain scores and whatnot, and then you are able to either function in society as a contributor, or you will be looked at as an outcast and downgraded and probably live well below the rest of society. So that's what's going to happen to all of us, unfortunately. So I do believe that, just because.
Dude, that's too much truth.
I mean, but see, that thing is just biblical. In my point, like, you read the Bible and you got a little discernment, you can kind of get an idea where all this is heading. But here's the thing. Like, don't get discouraged. Don't be sad and mad.
Okay, give me the upside.
Okay, because the upside is because we're already foretold this. So that means if we're foretold, that means there's someone who already knew this and already had everything worked out in advance. So if you're on the winning side, i.e., if you're in Christ and you're born again, then no matter what happens, you're coming out on the other end of that as a winner.
But sorry, do you think, okay, devil's in charge, right? And the Lord is coming back?
I do believe that, yes. Now, timing,
Okay.
as the Bible mentions, we don't know the time, date, or whatever. It just said be ready. But then also, when I was reading this yesterday, it says it's a scripture. I think it's in Matthew, but it says, when he comes back, will he even find faith? And so that led me to believe that we have a long way to go as far as the coldness of man developing still, because there's still a good chunk of faith on this planet. And so I can imagine we got some time. A and B, it's going to get a lot colder as far as how ruthless and how unfriendly and how notorious mankind can become to each other. So it sounds dark, but yet I believe that's where the kingdom of God comes into play, because we're carrying, if you're a believer, you're carrying eternity inside of you by his spirit. So you're in good hands, my friend.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yes.
You're dead on. You agree? I agree with everything you say. Okay.
Okay.
How do you mentally just sustain knowing this?
Whoo, that's the faith aspect. And so it's a matter of, in my opinion, I believe that it's having a relationship and striving to have a relationship with our Creator. And so if he's in your daily routine somehow, some form, some fashion, where you're either in his word, which is your source and strength, and then you're consciously always minded throughout the day, giving him praise, thanking him for everything he's done, it's hard not to keep him on your mind. And if he's on your mind, then it's good to say that, there's a scripture that comes to mind, I'm losing it, but he will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on him. And so if he promised perfect peace, if you keep your mind on him, then you might want to just make sure he's on the forefront of your mind somehow, some way, because that's where perfect peace is according to his word. Yes.
That's great, man. I mean, I thank you so much.
My pleasure, my friend. Thank you for the question, and I enjoy being able to speak about my faith. So thank you for asking that question.
No, it's that's where we are, and that's where we're coming down to.
Yeah, I do agree. Agree.
Just leaving the deep shit. Stop. Sorry for a second.
No problem.
What do you think about the gold to silver ratio?
Very good question, my friend. I think it is bound to even out to what it has been historically for the last 1,800 years. And so actually I have a graph. I have it's a couple books that actually pulled out ratio charts from 1673 all the way up to 1873 when silver was demonetized. It was 14 to 16 within that 300-year period there, or 297 period. And then once silver was demonetized, that's when it got to 23, 22, 20, whatever. And then in the 1900s, it got to 20, 20, 30, 40, and then now we're at 80 or 70. So it's heavily manipulated. But once again, if you understand the value of metals in general, and if you understand just the contents that's in the periodic table is God's wealth. So if you are interacting with anything on that table there, it's what mankind needs in order to manufacture, to create, to live. So if you hold anything on that periodic table, you're in good shape, because that comes straight from the Creator, in my opinion. So it will correct one day.
But hey, you're dead on, man. You are like bullseye.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. Enjoy your night, my friend. Enjoy your night in Colorado.
Keep up the good work, okay?
I will. Thank you. Good question. Very good question. Very good question. Man, I enjoy speaking about my faith so much. I think I need to do it more often. What else? So anyway, any more callers, feel free to call in. I appreciate that. But yeah, just man, it's great to speak. Speak truth. Anyway, it says cryptocurrency is being manipulated as well. The algorithm is right, but the value is based on a non-standard fiat. Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Which works? Which works? Once. Here's the thing about cryptocurrencies. That's why, like, when it's red, when it's down, I mean, that's one of the things where, when you realize everything that's centrally controlled right now, or under the control of the financiers of this monetary structure, you're gonna have ups and downs. But it's all about what do you have in your possession at the end, because we all know this isn't sustainable. It can go on for a year, 2, 5, 10, but at the end of the day, it's not sustainable. So it's what do you have in your possession at the end of the day that you can physically hold or have access to if need be. So I believe in cryptocurrencies. I look at it. I look at them as startups. I mean, there's a lot of great technology, like a lot of altering technologies out there that's being built upon this concept of blockchain and cryptocurrency, to where it's not going nowhere, man. So it's the equivalent of having like what I would consider like penny stocks, you know, in my opinion. Can't really give financial advice, but that's how I look at them. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Hold on 1 second. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm calling to find out what you think about the currency being... Can you hear me?
Yes. If you don't mind, can you mute your screen or mute the computer so there's no echo?
Oh, yeah. No, it's my TV. Hang on.
And then also, because I didn't get your name and where you're calling from.
It's Cindy, and I'm in Springfield, Missouri.
Cindy from Missouri.
USA.
Good deal, good deal. Thanks for calling in, and your question one more time. I'm sorry.
What do you think about the Zimbabwe being reevaluated?
Zimbabwe. So you mean the hyperinflation there that made that caused their currency to expire?
Yes.
I think that type of event there, in my opinion, is a very good. It's a very good eye-opening experience of what could happen on what could happen on an international stage one day, and it could happen to a reserve currency such as the Federal Reserve note, because as of now, we're on in recorded history, we're on the 4th reserve currency with the Federal Reserve note for the last since Bretton Woods technically, so last 70, 80 years, and before that was the British pound, which came to an end. And it was plagued with a lot of debt and war. Then before that was the Spanish real, and that ended with the Spanish Revolution. Then before that was France with the French Revolution. So every 40, 50, 60 years, there's a new reserve currency. So I believe if something could happen like that with the Federal Reserve note, but because we're in a digital age now, it can be prolonged a lot longer because they have ways of depositing digits in accounts and plugging and pumping up stuff whenever they want. So I believe Zimbabwe was a great educational study for developed world people to see what could happen when government's indebted, and the only thing they can do is borrow and then monetize that debt.
So you don't think it will reevaluate?
Reevaluate as far as the actual currency going back into circulation?
Yes.
No, it cannot do that, just because I have some notes here. And so that would basically say that all the notes that are now flooded across the earth as souvenirs that people bought at, I bought all of them, like a big stack of them for like $5, $10 or something. So for those notes to become to somehow somehow become valuable out of nowhere, I don't see that happening. Just because, what would they use to give it value? And then if they were to try to give it value, because they're all around the world as souvenirs and whatnot and keepsakes and used for all types of stuff, they wouldn't have enough assets to back those paper notes up. Even they are naturally resourceful, rich, and all that stuff down there. It's a small country in comparison to all the paper, the trillions, quadrillions worth of dollars, Zimbabwe dollars in circulation. So I don't see them being able to put those notes in particular back in circulation.
Well, but if they're a bond, don't they have to honor that?
Now, as of right now, they're on a newer currency, which are the bond notes. And so the bond notes, which are reissued notes, papers, they are supposed to be backed by dollars that's being held in a foreign, in some type of bank in Europe or something like that. And I haven't followed much of it, but they initially printed, say, I'm off the top of my head, say they initially printed $200 million worth of bond notes in, I think in $1, $2, and $5 bills. And they supposedly had $200 worth of Federal Reserve notes to back that up. But according to my last guest, who is also, I got the book right here because I read it before, but this book here, When Money Destroys Nations. It's a great book which gives a very good history of that. So if you look at my RTD University, as well as one of my live RTD, I had a guy who's from South Africa who visits Zimbabwe often. So he was giving me the rundown on those bond notes there, and basically they have begun doing the same thing again, issuing more debt without having anything to back them up. So they're going to run into the same situation. So the people being familiar with this, they're saying, hell, we don't want them bond notes no more. So you're supposed to honor, but yet if you don't have...
We're getting something different over here.
Say that again?
We are getting totally different. Everything, all the currency is supposed to go back into the baskets. Everything is supposed to be equal across the board according to what you have as far as reserves, whether it's oil or gold or whatever.
Right. So, and that was the case. That was a case prior to central banking coming into play and governments needing more control and more money to grow in size. And so they removed the gold standard. And once they removed the dollar off the gold standard, every other currency had to follow suit. And so we're all fiat currency based as of now. So that's the way it's going to be until the end.
Okay, so you do believe that? I mean, because I'm a Christian and I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe we're in the end days.
Yeah, and so like as far as the end
what
days,
I'm hearing over here is we're all going to go back on the gold standard. The United States, Zimbabwe, the Dong, Japan, China, Russia.
Yeah. Now
make it an even playing field.
So that sounds, in theory, that sounds like it will be a good idea, but because there will be no way of like governments actually getting an agreement on that, because a lot of those countries, like Japan, for example, they are trillions upon trillions upon trillions worth of digits in paper, and I don't think their gold stash is that strong to actually back all those paper notes up. And on top of that, in order for every government to kind of be in sync, that means they're going to have to agree on the actual nominal price of an ounce. And so right now, ounce is 12, 50, 13, whatever it is now. That's well below what it would need to be if all these governments planned on backing their liabilities, which they can't agree because we're the most indebted country on the face of the earth in history with trillions upon whatever. And so we ourselves are the ones that need to have a much higher gold price in order to even begin talking to any country. And that's even if we have our reserves still. So it's just too many things at play that I don't think will line up in even fashion to where it would work. So I don't foresee that happening. That's why this whole...
What I understand over here is we are trying to get away from the Federal Reserve. We're trying to get away from the Rothschilds and all of them. The Satanists.
Yeah, now, so you say we over here as in, like, so may I ask where you're... In America? Now, I guess it's more so like where do you, that information you're sharing, what's the source behind that? Because I personally, I haven't heard that particular approach that you're mentioning there. And so I believe it would be hard to do. Not impossible, but just hard to do.
Well, it's on my news out here, but I don't do the regular news because I don't believe in the Mockingbird news.
Right.
I'm getting a lot of my information off of YouTube.
Yeah.
Certain people.
Yeah.
But I'm also getting it from our president. He's not saying that straight out.
Yeah.
But we're looking for Nasara law to come back, and that's for everybody throughout the world.
Yeah, and so
because there is gold out there that's been stolen from us, from the Rothschilds and all the Jesuits.
Yeah.
The Satanists.
Yeah. Now
and that's what we're in a fight with right now.
Right. So I do believe, and I heard there's a couple commentaries that I follow that other day mentioned about Trump, is trying to relocate Fort Knox gold and whatnot. But once again, those are all. There's never been any. There's no proof. There's no evidence. And when it does hit the fan, I don't think the public will know the details of that. So it's all, in my opinion, it's being very optimistic and wishful thinking. So I'm all for it if it can come to be. But from the way everything looks like it's heading, in my opinion, with all the countries around us preparing themselves for after the day that the Federal Reserve note gets rejected, I don't see us as this country here being able to rectify all the wrong that we've done for the last 70, 80 years without us probably triggering some type of war, because we've been bullying the world for a long time, and a lot of people are getting tired of it.
Are you talking about America?
I'm talking about, yes, United States of America, the government, our government, yes.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. But what I'm looking at is the Bible, where it says, in this, you know, the 70 year of Jubilee, and we're so close to the end time.
Yeah. So
that the Lord may bless us.
Yeah, I mean, I
mean, we need to fight all the evil.
Right.
I mean, we've got people spraying us in the air with their chemtrails, you know, and Satanists. I mean, the Pope. Like, I could go on and on and on.
Yeah. And going on and on and on would be it could cause you to lose hope in the fight. But also remember, from a biblical standpoint, that the fight is not yours directly. I mean, we are in the world, but not of it. So the Lord is more than aware of everything that's happening. And that's why he talks about the idea of not having your everything in this world. Like, there's a scripture comes to mind about put your mind on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of the Father. Like, put your mind on things above. So I keep that in my mind of, like, okay, reminding myself that, you know, this is just temporary, even though this is life, but yet eternal life is much longer than this life for me. So I don't get caught up. I don't get caught up in just thinking about, like, we're defeated, because if you're in Christ, you won. So of course, you know, you're going to go through trials and tribulations, but the Bible tells us that. So that's why, you know, faith is necessary, because and somebody mentioned energy is currency, but faith is the ultimate currency. And so faith is what allows you to interact with, you know, God. So it says without faith, it's impossible to please him. So faith is the most important currency to have in this day and age, in my opinion. So, but
no,
yeah.
And I agree with you 1,000%. And whether I get that or if it happens, if it don't, my faith's always going to be in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior.
That's good.
But we also are at the end days.
Yeah, no doubt. And so here's the thing. When it comes to actually that statement there of being in the end days, like, I would imagine, like, even in the Bible, in regards to what Paul wrote, a lot of his writing would also lead you to believe that it was the end days in that time frame too, and they were fresh off of Jesus having walked the earth. So the whole concept of end times, that denotes some type of time, and God is outside of time. So for us, we're limited by time, but he's not. So I don't really count on, like, an ideal time frame, because he also mentions we'll never know the time. So
the time, or we will never know the hour or the day, and I believe that too.
Right.
But he says don't be deceived.
Right. Very true. Very true.
And all the signs are out there. The blood moons. And then we've got the I'm not into astrology, but where he's talking about that the woman in labor will have the stars around her.
Not sure.
That's all come to pass.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, as far as that particular passage there, not familiar with that one, but I do agree that the end times are near, just because we can't measure time in regards to the way he sees it or has planned everything. So tomorrow could be my time. You know, like I said, tomorrow could be my time as far as the end times, as far as my lifespan. So yeah, I do agree with you 100%.
I agree 100%.
But thank you for your call. I appreciate you chiming in. Thanks for sharing.
Bye.
All right, have a good night.
You.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Interesting. Very interesting conversation there. Very interesting conversation. Very, 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 very. Faith without works is dead. Yes, Tony. Gold standard is coming. IOU. Yeah. Gold standard. Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, yeah, gold standard. Yeah, I just when I read that IOU, I'm like, yeah, but is it needed? Like, we need honest politics, honest finances. We need just sound, which we unfortunately won't have in this lifetime. So that's just talking about faith. We're going to have these type of issues because we have an adversary that always is looking to destroy and to cause problems. So there will never be a day of peace where we'll be able to say the gold standard will work, because if the gold standard does come back, it'll be just as a quick fix to a problem that's dying. But then they're gonna find a way to manipulate it, because if you give the public truth and options, you can't control them, and it's all about them controlling us. And from now until you know, whatever time we're on a new earth, new heaven, under a new kingdom, we're going to always have oppressors, or those who look to oppress the masses, just because of greed, and that's just Satan's nature. So yeah, so I just need truth to set us free, so that people can govern themselves, people can choose how they want to live their lives, and you can actually exchange your energy, time, energy, faith, and everything, and receive what it's actually worth in a fair economy, if that is such a thing, which I don't believe in the word fair either, but it is what it is. Says if Trump keep acting like a savior, people will start treating him like one. Yeah, Tony, but yeah, if Trump keeps acting the way he's acting now, which is disruptive, and it's what's needed in comparison to all the bought and paid for politicians that we've had before, I think that he's going to cause some disruptions, which is going to cause this economic restructuring a lot faster than we could all imagine, which the sooner the better, of course, but you know, we'll see. Says Philman, how you doing, my friend? Says question, hey Mike, did you read the article which stated in the Bay Area $117 home income is? Yeah, so yeah, Philman, that's a very good one. I did read that. I think I might did an article about that one in the last video a while back. But yeah, so $117,000 income is considered poor, so you qualify for government assistance. So yeah, ain't nothing fair in a sinful world. Very true. Yeah, that's very true. So everybody, we've been live now for a while. So I appreciate you guys calling in, and as always, got some great back and forth as always. So it's been great to connect tonight. Look forward to doing it again tomorrow night. And as always, we're going to be here, or I'll be here 9:30ish, give or take. So what I want you guys, what I want you guys to do is to invite a friend, share the post, tell somebody to join us, somebody who new, so we can get some new faces, some new thoughts and whatnot, and hopefully some new perspectives on this whole thing, so we can help be solutions for one another and to be of encouragement for one another, most importantly. So the Bay, San Francisco is 200,000. Wow. Are we heading towards inflation? John Miller, inflation is already here. And so there's two different types of inflation. You have the financial assets inflation, stock market, housing market, the property bubbles, all that type of inflation, artificially induced. Then you have the consumer good and just the overall cost of living type of things, which is what, you know, middle, and which is what we should measure inflation by, which are all altered numbers. But inflation is here from the standpoint of financial assets. Now we're going to feel the pinch of inflation from a financial consumer standpoint, where cost of living goes up. That's what the Federal Reserve is now trying to avoid, while also tightening and raising rates. They're trying to maneuver and juggle all this amongst Trump's trade war, amongst the election, the primary election coming up this fall, and then we're gonna have the budget deficit or the debt ceiling coming this fall type stuff. So you name all that stuff, there's a lot of colliding factors which could cause problems. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. It says 200,000 in San Francisco is considered poor. That's a damn shame. And I wonder, and you know, apart from that, you growing up there, that's a lot. That's where you grew up at. But I'm thinking, like, if you are a person living, like, you know, I saw a video about those living in Sacramento or somewhere around there, where they're living in trailer homes or mobile homes, making $100,000 or whatever, living in their car. And I'm thinking, I'm wondering, like, what would keep you in that state? What would keep you in that city? If you have a skill set that is of value, and you can probably get a position or take a job or start something on your own anywhere you want, why are you still in California? But if you don't have options of that nature, then I can understand. But man, like, I would have been left, because think about all the money you losing in hopes of your net worth retaining its nominal price, of having an inflated, you know, you hope your net worth remains the same in an inflated financial market area, and then also having an inflated house value. So all that's inflated, and it's bound to correct or collapse one way or the other. And so losing all that gonna hurt. So that's gonna be another class of people hitting the streets, pissed, if all your confidence, faith, and your net worth is tied into paper-denominated and digital-based products, or products. Federal Reserve knows a product of the federal government, of the Federal Reserve. So yeah, but anyway, everybody, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for chiming in. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, share this video if you found it informative, and also I forgot to do my typical sign out here. Oops, wrong page. So get the free ebook, 5 Reasons to Hold Precious Metal Before the Next Recession. And then also Facebook, Instagram. If you got, I'm over here. If you guys are on Instagram, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at RTD at Rethinking the Dollar, and then at RTD University. Two of them there. But make sure you guys follow me there. I'm looking to connect there, and also I'm going to start doing actual like little short videos on IGTV throughout the day. Probably do some news articles there throughout the day as well. So you guys check that out, you know, and then on Steam and all that stuff like that. Twitter. Make sure you guys follow me. And other than that, everybody enjoy your evening. Stay out of trouble. Stay prayed up. And, yeah, keep the Lord in your mind. He'll keep you in perfect peace. I do believe that. So, enjoy your evening.